The audio that
Yeah, pages could be local.
Good morning.
Hello.
Hello, Professor. Good morning, Prof.
Yeah.
Very sorry for the technical hitches. We have surmounted it now. Thank you greatly for your patience and understanding.
All right.
So I think we can start now.
Okay, just let me mute one of the devices because I just kept one waiting in case the other fails.
Prof, I think you are having two meeting ID. You're having two Ray Ozolua there, and there's an echo.
Yes, what I have done is to mute one of them. Are you still having the echo?
Yes, we are still having the echo.
Okay, it's all right. Let me do something. I'm not too sure of network. Hello, is the echo still there?
Hello, Prof?
Hello, is the echo still there?
No, it's not there now.
Okay, I thought this is just a way of dealing with the possible network failure.
Yes, I understand, Prof.
Are we together?
We are together,
so we can
live.
We can start.
let me check on the plenary speaker.
Yes, please.
Professor Sadiq. Professor Jew Sadiq, are you there? Professor Jew Sadiq, are you there?
He was on a while ago.
Yeah, I saw him, but I just want to know. Professor Sadiq?
Well, it seems to have, he's still here.
Yeah, I can see him, but maybe he has just
Yes,
stepped out.
maybe momentarily stepped out. So,
Okay. Can I have my phone? Let me call him.
yes.
Stop calling me. Professor Sadiq? Ba ma jin ka gaskiya. Maybe your audio ni. Hello? Hello? Ba ma jin ka.
He's
Pardon?
not on seat. Have you
Please,
tried to call him?
I'm calling.
Let me call him from my end. I don't know.
Okay. Go ahead, Prof. You can call him from me.
Hmm. Hello, Prof. Yeah, please come back. Come back. We are about to start. Yes, please. Yeah, wait. Everyone is waiting for you. Yeah. I mean, we are ready for your lecture. If you, well, just start. If I can't see you, but if you are available, start. Well, if you are available, just show yourself. Then let me introduce the lecture. Yeah. Okay, I can see you. I can see you now. Okay. All right. Can you speak? Can you speak to us? So be sure that your audio is okay. Speak to us. Okay.
I want to also join from office. Send me that detail.
Please enable Professor Sadiq. He's
I've
available.
enabled him. It's enabled.
So please, Professor Sadiq, can you greet everyone to be sure that your audio is working? We can't hear you as yet. Hello, Professor Sadiq. There's a problem with his audio.
Yeah, the problem, Prof. Sadiq, the problem is your audio. Can you use a mouthpiece?
He has disappeared. Maybe network also.
Now I can still see him, but the audio is just not there.
Hello, Professor Sadiq. Okay, let me speak with him again on phone. Problem.
I'm calling.
Okay.
Hello, Prof. Professor Sadiq, can you hear us now? Please unmute yourself, Professor Sadiq. Unmute yourself. Hello? Hello, Prof. Okay. Okay. It's all right, sir. Thank you.
Yanzu bar maka ji?
Hmm?
Ji? Kasa da ni. Wai sun fito.
Hmm? Good morning. Good morning, participants. You're all welcome to the first plenary session of the 42nd Annual Conference of the West African Society for Pharmacology. Today being Thursday, 28th day of October. Today we'll be having Professor Gio Sadiq giving us his plenary talk on the role of pharmacologists in curbing the menace of drug abuse and addiction. I'll start by apologizing for the technical hitches we experienced. And I would like to invite the chairman of today's session, and it's no other person Professor Ray Ozulwa. Professor Ray Ozulwa is from the Department of Pharmacology and Toxicology, University of Benin. Professor Ray Ozulwa, you're welcome.
Oh, thank you, Professor Magaji. I join you in apologizing to everyone for the technical hitches. Attempts to get Professor Sadiq to join us been futile. So I want to plead that we adopt a damage repair mechanism, and which is that we know what the topic is, and then we invite people to make their contributions. Anytime he's able to join us, we entertain him. Let me recognize the present and past presidents of this society. Let me also pay tribute, respect to distinguished fellows of this society. Ladies and gentlemen, we're all pharmacologists, and certainly we can have a robust discussion, right, while we wait for Professor Magaji. So anyone who has a contribution to make can do so by raising his hand. There's an electronic way of doing so. You signify, so we identify you so you can make your contribution. If you are not able to do that, raise your voice. Please, maybe you tell the host to unmute everyone, all right, so that people can easily Professor Sadiq, are you here? Can you hear me? I can't hear you. Do you have a mouthpiece? Okay, I can't hear you. Maybe others can. I can't hear you. Well,
Professor Sadiq is not audible.
It's not
we
audible.
Can't hear him. Yes,
you can't hear him. So the problem persists. So, well, I think that we are pharmacologists. We can do something for ourselves, you know. And the subject is substance drug abuse. I would like to, while others will identify themselves, I like to just start by saying that the current concept is to talk about substance abuse, not necessarily drug abuse. Why so? Many of the substances, many of the things that people get addicted to or that they are abusing may not fall within the category of what may be described pharmacologically as drugs. For example, people inhale waste from gutter. They go to pit latrine to inhale, the vapor from pit latrines in the morning. This may not fall within what the average pharmacologist want to categorize as drugs. So nowadays, the issue is substance abuse, not necessarily drug abuse. I think that I should start with that. It has it's a component of the many things people can be addicted to.
Hello?
Yeah.
Hello? You still cannot hear me?
Okay, we can hear you now. Are you there?
Oh, yeah.
Yes, we can hear you now.
Thank you. I'm happy now.
Yes,
okay,
we can hear you now. Just good time
okay.
for you to start. Let's not waste further time.
Okay. Thank you very much. I'm happy with this development. Am I sharing my
do so?
slide?
Yes, please do so.
I mean, can you see it? Can you see? That's what I'm trying to do.
It was shared earlier, but.
Okay. I believe now you can see it in the next 1-2 seconds. Can you see it now?
Yeah, yeah, here now. Yes.
Okay. Okay. Can I go ahead?
Very well.
Okay, thank you very much for inviting me and giving me this opportunity to present what I like most and to share my experiences with you. And I'd like to apologize for the hitches that is experienced for the past 20, 30 minutes. As you can see, the role of the title of my investigation and presentation is the roles of oncologists in fighting the menace of drug abuse and addiction. My name is Garba Usman Sadiq, and I'm a member of the Sultan Society for Pharmacology. I would like to, the thing is not moving. Okay. I would like to give my presentation following this format. 8 different formats. I'd like to briefly say something on the terminology that will be used, and then I'd like to describe to us what who a pharmacologist is. Then since the topic is drug abuse, then what are the vulnerabilities? What are the factors that we discuss in drug abuse and the consequences is the third issue. And then finally, I'd like to look at the roles of the pharmacologists, which I categorize into 3. We have the role as a researcher. So secondly, there's a role as an educationist and activist. And then there's a final role as a policy activist. The pharmacologist will help in policy promulgation against drug abuse. And then I will conclude my slides. Sorry, I'll conclude my presentation. First, the terms that I'll be using, Happy, the chairman of the occasion, has already spoken about substance abuse, and then he differentiated from drug abuse, yes. But for the purpose of this presentation, both the two terms will be used interchangeably for convenience only. Well, when we are talking about drug abuse, we are talking of non-medical use, at least in this presentation. Drug misuse is wrong use of drug, not in accordance with the medical ethics. And then problematic or problem drug use is very important to highlight it in this, because I'm going to be using it in this presentation. When drug use necessitates need for medical or non-medical intervention, we refer to it as problematic drug use, because out of the so many population estimated to be abusing drug in Nigeria, it's only about 13% constitute problem drug use. Then we have high-risk drug user. A high-risk drug user is somebody who uses opiates, cocaine, or amphetamine in the past 12 months, and as well as used it at least 5 times in the past 30 years. I will be giving a lot of prevalences, and the prevalence here is referring to proportion of individuals with disease at a specific time over the number of individuals in the population at the same time. So the disease here is either addiction or state of being using or abusing drug. That is the disease. Now, I'll also use cumulative incidence. And what it means in this presentation is the proportion of the population with new.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
There's a sharp noise coming from somewhere.
Okay.
Cumulative incidence here refers to the proportion of the population. Oh my God. I don't know if the headquarters can help or the host can help and unmute others because the kind of noise that is coming to my ears is very devastating. Okay, I considered a pharmacologist as a very versatile scientist. He's a scientist well grounded in the field of pharmacology. And pharmacology, as we all know, deals with the research, discovery, characterization of chemicals which show biological effects. Okay. Then the scope of a pharmacologist includes source of drugs, composition, properties, molecular and cellular mechanism, organ and system mechanism, signal transduction, that molecular diagnostic, interaction, chemical biology, and antipathogenic capabilities. As a summary, a pharmacologist is either of the two. It's either a core scientist or a scientist enshrined in a certain discipline like pharmacy, vet medicine, nursing, human medicine, and the rest. So as a core scientist, and under various professional endeavors, a pharmacologist has a very diverse role in carrying the trend in the regional and global drug abuse pandemic. Now, why drug abuse? Drug abuse is a global problem. It's a global and regional health problem. To portray this point, I would like to quote a lot from the document of the Federal Ministry of Health, Nigeria, because that of Nigeria is what is most accessible to me. I may not be quoting other figures from other countries. Then I would like to be quoting also a lot of information from the publications of the United Nations Office of for Drug and Crime Prevention. So according to that document, that's the Nigerian National Survey on Drug Use and Health. It was conducted between 2016 and 2017 and published in 2018. According to that document, an estimated 14.3 million people aged between 15 and 64 years had used drugs, but the definition of drugs here is excluding alcohol and tobacco. According to the same document, about 14.4% of population in Nigeria use drugs as against the global annual prevalence. So our prevalence, according to that document, is 14.4, and the global prevalence is 5.6. I can comfortably say that of Nigeria is about 3 times that of the world. So the problem of drug abuse is a huge one. If it is a problem globally, our own is more than, if there's any time you can give it more than a problem, it's a bigger problem. So the same document, there's a document from the NDLEA that says Nigeria now is a key transit point for drug trafficking and producers of cannabis and amphetamine-based stimulants. And then it also went ahead and said that West Africa is a key transit point for drug trafficking worldwide. So in other words, this problem concerns us more because it affects us more as compared to other parts of the world. Now, figures.
Well, journal article.
Because of the type of headset or microphone that I'm using, if anybody make a sharp sound, it affects me seriously, and I hope I'm not interfering. Okay. According to the same document, 1 in 5 high-risk drug users inject drugs, and this comes along with its own consequences. And then there is it gives an estimate of 10.8 million men and 3.4 million women to be drug users or past drug users. And nearly 90% of high-risk drug users are opiate users. Now, among high-risk drug users, about 95% reported using more than one substance either concurrently or sequentially in the past 12 months. In general population, drug user was 42%. Now, still from the same document, it refers that nearly 90% of high-risk drug users are opiate users, and 1 out of every 5 high-risk drug users inject drugs, meaning that 80,000 users inject drugs. And you know the health consequences of injecting drugs. And the usual practice is that they don't care about the ethics of using injection, they share needles. Most common drugs injected in the past year are pharmaceutical opiates, followed by cocaine and heroin. And finally, from the same document, it's reported that women injecting drugs are more likely than men to engage with high-risk sexual behaviors, and that come along with its own health consequences. Now, what are the factors that favors or predisposes individuals to this drug use? I'm trying to highlight the vulnerability factors. The vulnerability factors to drug use are generally social, economic, and political in nature, and they are classified into 3 in my presentation here. We have factors to do with school education and peers, we have factors to do with the family, and then we have factors to do with the individual. That's natural, nature of individual. So these factors to do with education or schooling or peer group influence, this one can be categorized. Each factor, for we to appreciate it, we need to categorize it into age group. We have those that concerns childhood, adolescence, and then those that concerns young adulthood. The childhood adolescence, something like peer attitude towards drugs, they borrow it from their peers and inculcate it into their attitudes. We have peer rejection also. We have school failure. These are the kind of things that predisposes childhood, those in this category, childhood adolescence. The other category is young adulthood. Factors like attending college and substance use among peers are the main factors that were discovered to make individuals vulnerable to drug use. Now, looking at the family, the factors to do, or vulnerability factors to do with the family can be categorized into 3. We have those ones that affect the early childhood, we have those ones that affect childhood, adolescence, and then young adults. For early childhood, like something like called on unresponsive mother behavior can really put somebody in this age category in serious problem. And then childhood, adolescence, something like low parental warmth, parental hostility, and then parent favorable attitude towards drug. All these are factors that could predispose individual in this age category. Then the eldest, young adulthood, simply living home, can do that. At this point, I would like to pause a little and talk about this factor. United Nations Office for the Prevention of Drugs and Crime, UNODC. Now, something very strange. In the last 12 months, we were conducting certain a candidate, those that are living with their parents are more predisposed contrary to what I'm reading to you now, because this data is global data, but what we are seeing at home here, anyway, this is subject to so many explanations, which we don't have time now. And then maybe if somebody asks me a question about it, then I can explain further. Then we have vulnerability factors to do with individual predisposition, like the genetic makeup of an individual, the genetic predisposition and prenatal is an example whereby those children born to alcoholic, for example, alcoholic parents or addicts are more likely to fall into drug abuse than those that were not born to alcoholic, drug addicts. This is proven scientifically. So also in the category of early childhood, difficult temperament is a factor. In middle childhood, it was seen that antisocial behavior, anxiety and depression are likely factors. Of course, there are other factors that are likely to predispose individuals to drug abuse. So, what are the consequences of this drug abuse? I'm going to summarize it under the saying of a one-time president of the United Nations, Mr. Cavan, in 2003. He says that drug abuse furthers socio-economic and political instability, and that it undermines sustainable development and hampers effort to reduce poverty and crime in a society, community, region, country, and all over the world. This statement was mentioned about 2003, okay, about 20 years back. And now we are seeing it practically in Nigeria. So, in a nutshell, drug abuse has substantial negative impacts on macro and micro economy of a country, as exemplified by Colombia in 1996. It also have negative impact on employment status and productivity of a country. It has substantial negative impact on family stability and cohesiveness. And then it has it has negative impact on public safety. It promotes crime and corruption, as we are seeing in our societies in West Africa. I will not be specific here. Then it also hampers on national productivity and employment. It affects the environment. Drug abuse affects the environment and health statuses of a country. Perhaps I don't have to explain how it affects health statuses, but that of environment, perhaps somebody will ask me. I would like to give an example of a situation where in South America, the cultivation of hard drugs affects their agricultural output, because the kind of hard drugs they're cultivating there requires a very huge fertile land, and then once it is harvested, it will be treated right here on the farm using very strong acid. And it was found out that this acid summarily abolish or decreases the fertility of those such land. Drug abuse also causes conflict, has negative impact on conflict resolution and criminal arrest, as we have seen in some countries across the world. And now we are seeing it also in some parts of the country, especially where I came from. And then drug abuse has outstanding negative impact on the quality of education of our society and country at large. Now, these are the consequences of drug abuse. Mr. Chairman, sir, distinguished colleagues, you will agree with me that drug abuse is a huge problem. Then the next thing is, how can a pharmacologist have any role in intervention against this gigantic problem? In the next few slides, 3 slides, I'll try and summarize how a pharmacologist can intervene. In my opinion, a pharmacologist is a co-researcher on substance abuse. A pharmacologist is a co-researcher on substance abuse. He or she can contribute in screening of known and emerging substances abuse for adverse effects. The chairman has just mentioned that some abusers they have created the habit of going to latrine to sniff the exhaust, or using lizard dung, or using centipede and or millipedes. We all know a millipede or centipede that create that living thing that has a lot of legs. Some abusers use it to abuse. To get high or to change their physiology. So one wants this from known to unknown. Even the known substances of abuse, we didn't exhaust our knowledge on them. We are still investigating day in, day out. Now we have substances that cannot even categorize them as drugs or in any class. They are being abused. So in this situation, the pharmacologist has a very great role of working on them so that he or she can describe their adverse effects. And then the pharmacologist also can help in screening and cataloging of emerging substances of risk for addiction liability. We all know the relevance of having addiction liability. Addiction liability addiction liability is a very strong tool that is used in the treatment of drug abuse and prevention of drug abuse. And this could be provided by the pharmacologist. The pharmacologist can also offer suggestions on evidence-based drug use prevention programs, which are the main tools that we have globally. I don't know here in Nigeria how developed our own evidence-based drug use prevention program is, but in most advanced society, that's what is being used now as a tool of managing drug abuse. Mr. Chairman, sir, please give me 2 seconds to on the AC. Yeah.
Alhamdulillah. Okay.
Another role for pharmacology on substance abuse is that he or she, sorry, I want to beg the host to mute another person that is really making serious noise. The pharmacologist can conduct in-depth studying of of the pharmacodynamics and pharmacokinetics of known and emerging substances of abuse. This issue can hardly be overemphasized because we need it in treatment and management. Likewise, pharmacologists can assist in the discovery of newer techniques of detection and quantification of substance of abuse in can conduct safety and physiological evaluation of both known and emerging substances. The pharmacologist can participate in the discovery of alternative therapeutics for medical and scientific purposes. You know, or can participate in drug repurposing. In drug repurposing, the pharmacologist can suggest another use of a pre-existing medicament, or can offer a new drug that could be used to substitute a currently standard drug with less addiction liability. A pharmacologist is also an educationist in all itself and also an activist. He or she can help in the development and implementation of undergraduate and postgraduate student of pharmacology curricula on the topic of substance abuse prevention, education, and assistance. The pharmacologist can participate in public substance abuse education and prevention programs. I'm happy to understand, even though I missed the exercise, that our own association here in Zaria conducted public substance abuse education in some secondary schools prior on the first day of this international conference. The pharmacologist also can participate in sharing and updating knowledge and skills among scientists and various health professionals. He or she also can participate in training of students of nursing, pharmaceutical sciences, human and veterinary medicine. Now, the pharmacologist also, the third role of the pharmacologist is his or his role in policy promulgation, because the pharmacologist can suggest standard on allowable quantity in biological fluids that can be used for legal and forensic services. He or she may contribute to policy on distribution of controlled substances, even though the primary role, the primary duty here is not that of the pharmacologist, but a pharmacologist can contribute to that and can contribute to policy development on use of controlled drugs as well. The pharmacologist can contribute to the development of a national drug control master plan, which currently in Nigeria, this kind of master plan is being worked upon, and I believe the pharmacologists have contributed a lot. And I believe by this year, end of this year, the National Drug Control Master Plan will be launched, or it has been launched, I'm not sure. Finally, the pharmacologists can contribute to development of national policy guidelines for drug counseling. This particular role of pharmacologists, I can cite example now that in Nigeria, that a new NDLEA policy is being developed, and the pharmacologists are fully involved in it. Mr. Chairman and distinguished colleagues, I want to conclude my presentation with this statement that the pharmacologist is a well-grounded scientist with wealth of knowledge and skills that could be employed in multiple facets, thus curtailing drug abuse and its consequences. And thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to make this presentation. And I hope I'm going to hear a lot of comments, questions, and contributions to the idea so that I can develop upon what I have. Thank you very much.
Well, I may well be the only one clapping, but I guess you can hear me, Professor Sadiq. Can you hear me?
I can hear you very well, sir.
Yeah, on behalf of everyone, every member of the society and those who have joined us, I want to say thank you to you for the presentation. In spite of the technical hitches, thank you, thank you, thank you. Please, I don't know whether anybody has a comment to make. You can unmute people. If you want to make a comment, can you raise your hand? There's an electronic way of doing so, right? If you do not know how to go, just speak and the rest of us will listen.
Thank you very much, Professor Reozolua. Let me start by congratulating Professor Gio Sadiq for that wonderful presentation. As part of the pre-conference activity of this 42nd annual conference, the society organized a substance or drug abuse sensitization workshop to 6 secondary schools in Zaria, Kaduna State. And sincerely, the effort of the society was well appreciated by the school management and the students themselves. Handbills were distributed to the students. And sincerely, after that, I, as a person, realized that our role as pharmacologists covering this menace cannot be overemphasized. The advocacy, sensitization, as pharmacologists, we have a long way to do. We have a lot to offer, in covering the menace of drug abuse and substance abuse in our society. After interacting with these pupils, we realize that some of these things that we actually consider as substance abuse, these are things that are endearing to the students. So after the interaction, we realized that there should be regular sensitization activity to not only secondary, even to the university student, and even as low as primary students, so that information of this nature can be shared with them, and we can actually provide the necessary information at the right place. That's my contribution, sir.
Thank you, Professor Magaji, for that. Any other contribution? Well, before I will listen to some other person, I think that the point you have made is very valid, which is advocacy, sensitization by pharmacologists to schools. But I should add that not only schools, we also can carry our advocacy to churches, to mosques, and speak to congregations, right? And I will also add that as pharmacologists, we should consider introducing substance abuse topics to curricula, in our curricula, in training our students, as pharmacologists. And we can also, by way of advocacy, make government to see need to add substance abuse topics to curricula at primary, secondary school levels, because young persons are impressionable. So if we're able to address the issue at those formative years, we'll have less problem later on when they become adults. And that's for now what I'd like to contribute. Any other contribution? Yes, Mahdi is raising his hand. Can Mahdi be unmuted? Mahdi.
Yes, good morning. Good morning, sir.
Yes. Yeah, good morning, Mahdi. You're welcome. Please speak to us. Hello,
He's
Mahdi.
not unmuted, sir.
Please unmute Mahdi.
Professor Sadiq.
Okay.
Actually, it is a very relevant topic, and it is a very relevant topic, which is the society's problem now everywhere. I just want to make some comments. In addition to the measures he outlined for curbing drug abuse, and as an educationist, a pharmacologist as an educationist, it will be worthwhile to create awareness to the general public on the need not to take drugs unless when and only when it is necessary. Because at times you realize that for any pain or ailment, I think it will go just like that without prescription or otherwise. In addition to that, those that are required to take the drugs should also be taught on the adverse effects of such drugs. That is my little contribution. Once more, Prof, congratulations for this presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Professor Maji. Yes, we must recognize the presence of our former president, the revered Professor Olufemilayo Adeyemi. Madam, you are welcome. Please speak to us. It's a great delight to hear you.
Mr. Chairman, I really want to say thank you to the professor for that lecture and your comments as well. I just want us to make sure that we emphasize the primary schools. A lot of things are done in the secondary schools and then in the tertiary institutions, and we still think that those children in primary schools are really not doing much, but really it's there. A lot of them are involved. And I think as a group, we should encourage all those in authority to ensure that we don't just stop at maybe secondary, we should go down to the primary school level and encourage young children from the beginning. And then from what we saw recently on television, those who were arrested, people now putting drugs in cookies and all of that. Maybe we should also let parents be aware what kind of cookies their children pick up from friends in school. It's very important, especially among those very little children who will pick anything, oh, my friend gave me. And as long as it's tasty, why not? So please, I think as a society, this will be one of the things that will be in our communique. And I want to thank all the participants, particularly the
Thank you.
Hello?
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay. Has Prof finished speaking?
She has finished speaking, yeah.
It seems
But,
so. It seems so. Yes, I can't hear her again. But I think her point has been well made, which is that we should focus on the primary school level, that level, because these are formative years and the children are very impressionable. That's the point at which they can be influenced rightly or wrongly. So we can focus on the primary school level. That's what Prof seems to be saying. And I think that should be part of the things we carry out of the conference by way of communicating. All right. Hello, any other person? I can't see any hand up as yet. Okay. Time is fast spent. But let me just highlight some things. As experts in the business, we need to be very clear in our minds what we mean when we say substance abuse. I always prefer to use the term substance abuse rather than say drug abuse. Like the lecturer said, so many substances now. People lick the bodies of toads, all right? People go to ponds to drink algae polluted water from ponds, you know. The substance must be centrally active. In other words, must have effect on the central nervous system for us to categorize it as something of abuse. That's a technical definition. We must be mindful of this. So using a drug such as ampicillin, clozaceline, will not fall technically into what we refer to as drug abuse. You can talk about misuse. That may be more comfortable in that regard. If a drug is to be abused, the drug has to have effect on the central nervous system. it has to have a reinforcing effect. In other words, there should be a strong propensity to want to use it again after first using it. So those are two characteristics of substances of abuse. And as Prof has just mentioned, the spectrum is so wide now, and that it's difficult for us to place a finger on those substances that we can really say that they are abused within the community. Yes, there are some that are well known. There are so many others that are not even known. For example, people roll the droppings of lizard, dunks of cattle, and they smoke this, right? As pharmacologists, we may want to investigate this. That's one way we can contribute. Aside from the fact that we can join in evolving new mechanisms, all right, new methods of treatment, as pharmacologists. I want to emphasize that we are authority in drugs. And so we should promote advocacy, whether in church, in mosque, or anywhere. But what I have experienced in recent times is that the average pharmacologist shies away, right? And allows non-pharmacologists, whether they be doctors, pharmacists, to take the lead. I don't know. I don't want to think that there is a complex somewhere. If there is, this conference is an opportunity for us to cure it and take the lead when it comes to issues of substance abuse, from the mechanism down to ways of curbing the menace. We ought to be authorities in that regard. So that's my own contribution. Time is fast spent. I can't see any hand up. Like I said, if anybody has something to say, please raise your hand or use the mic. Let's quickly look at the charts and see whether some persons have said anything that we can take away. Right? I haven't seen anything.
I think
somebody has said, yeah, said we should also sensitize students and people the difference between being a pharmacist and a pharmacologist. You may as well say between being a doctor and a pharmacologist. Yeah, I don't think what is important. See, when we go out and we speak like experts, like people who know what drugs, how drugs work, how these substances work, the brain reward center. That phenomenon can be made so simple, to the ordinary person. We don't have to be too technical about the neuroanatomy of the brain and all of that. We are the experts in the area. That's the point I'm making. So whether the person it's possible to have a pharmacist, pharmacologist, like I am, like the lecturer is, but that is not the issue. Primary thing is that we are pharmacologists and we are authorities when it comes to drugs, substances, and how they act. I think that's the one that I should like to add to that. I haven't seen any other comments other than praising the speaker. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you. That's all I see.
Thank you very much. I'm very grateful. Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity. And I also learned something here. Thank you.
So
thank you very much.
Yes, if there is no other contribution, Professor Adeyemi, do you have anything else to say?
I hope you heard me when I spoke earlier.
Yeah, very clearly. Very clearly.
Okay. Because I lost contact. After that, there was nothing. I just had to start.
We heard you clearly, and I tried to emphasize it, man, when you said, look, we should go to primary school level, because at that level, they are very impressionable.
Those are the kind of things we would like to see.
Yes.
Drawing on the genomics.
Thank you very much, sir.
I was with
I lost contact. I had to bring another device.
It tells me there is a multi-country project on genomics is driving, and I think I didn't.
Professor A? The chairman, sir?
I'm with you.
Okay, please go ahead, sir.
Thank you. I was just saying, okay, I see Professor Nuhu is here now. I don't know whether he joined us early enough to contribute. Professor Nur Mohammed, are you there? Is there something you want to tell us?
He's out.
Oh, well, we're probably not hearing us. Well, just again
I
to
can
say
see
thank you.
Professor Beach is also around.
Okay, Professor
I can
Bichi.
see.
Yes, he's with us.
Yeah.
Also, I saw him.
All right. If you can unmute everybody at this point, let's that because we are about rounding up. Some of these very senior persons may have one or two things to say. Hello, Professor Bichi.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning, sir.
I would like Professor Sadiq. Thank you very much for a very stimulating paper. Just like you said, you know, it's let it be the guide for all of us because you didn't have sufficient time to expatiate on a lot of the points that are there. But I think the most important thing is like what the chairman said, you know, this substance abuse is so wide and involves so many things. My major worry is in fact how people are being recruited into becoming drug or substance abusers. The cookies you gave examples of, they are not just means of transmitting the drug, you know, to the children, but it's also a means of recruiting the children as future customers.
Mm-hmm.
Because by the time you give a child 1, 2, 3 cookies free, by the time they get hooked, then they can do anything in order to be able to obtain those cookies.
Absolutely.
Or the substances contained in those cookies or any other substances. A lot of studies that we did years and years ago have shown, like for example, that was how hard drugs like cocaine, etc., got introduced into our communities. Free samples, let me call them samples, were given to children, you know, especially youth. And by the time they got hooked, the barons in this, you know, the middlemen, I would call them, because the barons are hardly ever known, now recruited them into various nefarious acts. And so, well, for you to be able to get more, you need to go and do this and do that or that. If you're a girl, you have to go into in order to generate the money that is required. The impact is so much that really there is a lot that we need to do as pharmacologists who know what it means, you know, for substances to interact with the human body, and also as members of the community, because in all honesty, it is very sad for, you know, women now, housewives, have become involved in this, and because of frustration, because of depression, because of economic hardships, so many issues. And the extent of this problem, in all honesty, is gigantic. And I just pray for us that we will be able to exploit the knowledge that God has given us in order to minimize the effects or the extent of substance abuse in our community. Thank you very much, sir.
Very much for that contribution.
Thank you, Professor Hassan Bichi. Well, you are an elder statesman. You are the ancient in pharmacology, so you know it so well. So God bless you, sir. I just want to emphasize, in recent times, I'm sure all of us being lecturers, researchers, you would have heard they bake cakes these days with hard drugs. You know, they bake cakes with Indian hemp, bake cakes with, and so the problem is just there with our youths, you know, and off-campus accommodation residences for our students. The smell of Indian hemp is commonplace. Everybody knows how it smells, you know. So that's how common the thing has become. I know one or two doctors who are hooked on pentazocine, you know, And I know a couple of sickle cell patients who are hooked on pentazocine, tramadol, you know. So these are problems. We are pharmacologists and we should take the driver's seat, you know, from education to advocacy. I think that's what everybody seems to be saying. And time is fast spent. I haven't seen any other hand up. It would have been nice to hear one of these younger persons speak. The senior ones have spoken. Is there anyone, any young person there who wants to share experience with us? Any young person? Well, it's all right. If there is none, I think we can manage time. What I see in the next program is tea break. I hope that Professor Magaji will send my own tea virtually. And then
I'm also looking forward to mine.
and Professor Adeyemi wants her own too. I don't know how you want to send that, but I think we can
we are going to do that.
we can economize time. So thank you,
Yes,
Professor Magaji, for giving me the opportunity to chair this session. God bless you. God bless every one of us. God bless the West African Society for Pharmacology. Thank you very much. Over to you, Professor Magaji.
Thank you very much, the chairman, Professor Rio Zulua. It has been very nice here listening to you chairing this plenary session. On behalf of the local organizing committee of the 42nd annual conference of the West African Society of Nigeria, I would like to say a special thank you to our plenary speaker, Professor Garba Osman Sadiq, for that stimulating and thought-provoking lecture. We're indeed grateful to you. We know you can deliver. That's why we actually invited you. You've been in the forefront in advocacy against drug abuse, especially in the northeastern part of the country. We thank you very much. Once again, I want to thank the chairman, Professor Rozulwa, for answering our request to chair this session at the shortest invitation. We thank you very much. I also want to single out my mother and father in pharmacology, Professor Adeyemi. Thank you very much. Professor Lawa Alassane Bichi, thank you very much for that contribution. And to all those that have created time to participate in this plenary talk, I say thank you very much. I think immediately after the tea break, we'll be going into the scientific session. Join us then. Thank you very much. And I'm going to send the tea break virtually also. I assure you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
God bless.
Thank you.
Don't forget me.
It's all right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
See you in the next
Bye.
session. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Yeah.